Howdy folks, Bad Mark with MacTech here again, and it's just a real short video. I'm sure if you've been in this hobby for a while, you've come across box switches. This is an invention by Kale, if I'm not mistaken, and it's just a different style switch. It basically, instead of having a stem that actually hits the leaf spring, it has that little tiny button inside of that box that hits the leaf spring. Making these, for me personally, not a very fun switch, because if you do, there's a spring. If you do happen to knock that box out and get that button out of there, that little tiny, let me see if I can focus this in. See that little tiny button? That's just being held in there with pressure. This plastic piece will come off. You lose that little button, the switch is done. You know, spring is usually the one thing you don't want to lose. Stems usually can be found fairly easily, but try finding one of those buttons if you drop it on the ground, especially if it's a rug. Forget about it. It's gone. It's done. So I've never been fond of box switches. I like creams. I definitely like the original creams. This is a great switch, but I'm just not a fan of these. Anyway, that said, I have spent a few dollars on novelty mystery switches. Hence, I now am the owner of a few hundred of these NK creams, box creams. These are novelties. They're made by Kale, but they're novelties box creams. So basically, if you've seen any of my videos before, you've seen my Time Budget Lube method. I am actually adjusting, and I will be making a new video. My mixture, I have been trying different ratios. I started with 50-50, 50% oil, 50% grease. I went all the way up to 80% grease, 20% oil. Right now I'm at about I'd say 70-30%, and I'm starting to hone in on just the perfect amount to where it's still viscous enough to stick, but fluid enough to come out. So this is real quick. I'm just going to show you with my regular method. The same thing. I grab, this one is just oil. This is just super lube oil. I grab and I basically just do a dab of it. I want to make sure that I don't cover more than a third of that circle. If I do, you might get some squish in there. Now that'll eventually spread to the entire spring, but if you don't like that, you're going to have to take it out and clean it up again. So that's all I do to the bottom housing. When I take the top housing off, I try to keep the stem in there, and I push the stem all the way down. So instead of, you know, taking the stem out or doing the bottom stem rail the rail post on the inside of the bottom stem, I'm actually just dropping a little bit of grease here. Sorry, I'm going to have to try to do this while, oh, that's a little bit much, but it doesn't really matter. And then a little bit there. Basically, I hope you guys can see that. So there's a little bit of grease on either side of the post. And then you grab it, make sure that you're aligned. LED window is the LED window. Take the two pieces, push together, bam. We have a nice lubed box cream. Once lubed, this is a decent switch. It's actually even better once it's been broken in. I'm in the process of building a switch break-in machine, and I'm going to be able to try these at like 10, 15, 20,000 actuations and see that smoothness that people have talked about. But once it's lubed, it makes a real nice difference. Here we'll take a stock one. A tiny amount of ping in there, and obviously scratchy. And then we take a lubed one, and it's almost silent. It's a very smooth, buttery, silky feel to it once it's been lubed. So despite the fact that I don't like them because of their mechanisms, once they're lubed and broken in, they make for a great switch. They do perform. you know, because especially it's a linear, there's really nothing stopping it. I mean, it is hitting that button on the way there, but that button is definitely not creating any sort of tactile event. It is just going straight and, you know, giving you the action. So I just wanted to share real quick. That's the way that I lube up box switches. If you hadn't seen that, or if you are, you know, thinking of or have tried my method, or if you've actually just had issues, I mean, you could basically adopt what I've just done and just use a brush and use whatever other lube you want. I don't see any reason other than using Super Lube. It's cheap and it does the job. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Makes these switches better for you guys, especially those of us that spent money on the mystery novel keys switches. And if you have some of these laying around, you like linears, these are great once lubed. So I hope this helps. Keep calm, keyboard on.